Hello and welcome into another reading. I know we're doing a reading in the dark this morning. I usually don't provide readings before I go to work, but this morning it just felt like something needed to come through for you. So I am grateful and I am honored to do this reading for you as an act of divine service. Let's dive in. Last one. Okay. So it looks like we're finding you in a place of Two of Swords. This says attune and recalibrate. So typically the Two of Swords in the RW deck may signify a place of tapping into your intuition as you make this next step in your life. So you may recall the imagery in the RW deck as like the crossing of the two swords with the blindfold. Here, the message says attune and recalibrate. So this might be finding you in a place where you're kind of drawing within, not in a form of like isolation or emotional withdrawal from others, but more of allowing yourself to kind of sink in and not only visit, but settle into that really soft place within yourself where you can tap into your intuition without hearing as much of the noise from the 3D realm. And it feels like as you just kind of rescend into that space, you're listening to your internal voice and you're getting comfy in your authenticity and feeling into what you're needing at this time. The recalibration, right? There's something about like a return to self. And I'm also getting this message that I often hear this other creatrix speak about, and I can put her info in the description for you. I can see her face, but I can't recall her name. I think it's Transcendent Tarot. But she talks about this return to like 0 point. And for those of you that are more into the quantum sciences, that could be another way of like thinking about what I'm speaking about here, because it feels like this return to not necessarily baseline as your human self, but a return to center within your human self and a return to, or at least close to that 0 point space within your ethereal being. So let's go ahead and jump into what you may need to hear today. Wow. That was wild. Did you all see that? That felt like a sick trick. I am not I am not well, I was gonna say I'm not a magician, but hey, aren't we all? But what I mean is I don't know those kinds of tricks with cards, so that was pretty cool. I hope the camera caught that. Okay. There was some slipperiness in the cards. We saw some sick tricks happening. But in some of the cards, it felt like there was a little bit of resistance. So perhaps those themes might be standing out to you in your life and where you are at this time. Like maybe it feels like some things are just kind of like sliding into place, things that didn't quite do that before, like maybe things that you've been working on for yourself that you've been like noticing some difficulties with. And I'm getting some vibes of like self-worth or confidence in yourself. It feels like some of those lessons, because of your repetition and your continued love and self-compassion, it feels like some of those lessons are sliding in and integrating really nicely. So great work. Okay, so the first card that laid out is the Chariot and the Overlay. And in this deck, it is number 7, and the message says dimensional shifts of the crystalline. Ooh. Now I know that I'm filming this when it's still pretty dark in the morning, so I hope that you all can see that okay. There is something so mystical and magical about this card to me. Typically the Chariot, I hear a lot of people interpret the Chariot as fast-moving energy. To me, it's always felt this arrival, and not just like a showboaty arrival, of like, I've arrived, like the performer in you. And hey, like no shade if that's you, because I got Leo in my first, but it's more of like, I have arrived to my divine destination, and I am carrying my whole self with me. I am bringing my whole self. And this, like seeing these like beautiful butterflies and these geometric shapes and the glitter and the reference to the earth, like you can see here. I hope you all can see that okay. But like showing this, like the matrix, right? Like this energetic grid, this overlay over the earth plane, and seeing you like showing up in all of your glory. There's just something so magnificent about this. And because this is a major arcana that signals it's a major theme in your life that's happening, and it's in the overlay, so it feels like it's like the energy is even more souped up, But we see this other card that popped out for you is, number 5, the lineage, which in the RW deck is the Hierophant. Wow. So whenever the Hierophant comes up, here I can actually put this upright so you can see it. It came up in the reverse. I do want to name that, but I just want you to be able to see the card because the imagery is just so potent. It's incredible. I feel like there's so many codes here. But typically, the Hierophant may signify like, okay, usually in the upright, it feels like blessings are really present. It just feels like this raining, this gentle raining of blessings that are here for you, signifying, a protected path, like you're really tuned into the blessings that are there for you. With this in the reverse, and especially with us using this deck, and it referencing the lineage, this may signify that you've been really deep into the pains of generational, I was going to say generational wealth. That's interesting. That wasn't what was top of mind, but that was the word that was kind of floating forward from the darkness. So maybe some of the work that we were talking about as like we were shuffling here, that like those lessons, right? Like some of them may feel a little bit more stuck. Ones that you've been working on are just like sliding in nicely now. That could be related to generational wealth. Some of the work that you've been doing around, understanding how those before you have viewed money. The narrative within your lineage around money, whether like, you had a lot or you didn't, I know within my family, there was a narrative of we're poor, and it was more than just, we don't have money now. It was like, no, our families are poor, our lineage across both, paternal and maternal lines draw into like rural areas, like we are poor. And there's also something about the we are You know what I mean? Like the identity piece versus seeing it as like a state or a quality or a characteristic. So something about that may be significant for you too in your exploration of like the narratives around wealth, narratives around money, the differences between the two, because wealth and money are different, right? Like even just energetically, they carry different frequencies. And that sounds like it's important to name too. I'm getting like the word frequency, there's this shine to it right now. So there's something being illuminated around the energy of money and wealth to you. And seeing both of those things as energy, or maybe this is a reminder for you. You know, I feel like a lot of these messages that come through aren't necessarily like new or profound insights. You know what I mean? I feel like they're reflecting something within you, within your energetic field, within the wisdom that you hold that has been there. So this is a mirror into that for you. And you may notice that I just edited out a chunk of time. And if I didn't, that means this didn't come through. But there was a moment where my stomach growled. So that may be significant to you too. Usually I don't do readings fasted. Usually I don't do much in the morning fasted. But again, just for some reason, I was called to do a reading for you this morning before I go to work. And, you know, there's something about that also coming through. I did mention in the past, I don't know if you all have seen that, but in one of my other roles in life at this time is being a mental health therapist. And I work with a lot of people that have complex trauma histories, which is very 12th house of me, you know. But there's something about that, you know, of like, how are you balancing and engaging in your gifts, your spiritual gifts, and also your connection with the divine. So me doing these readings for you all, I know I started this reading today talking about how I see this as an act of divine service. So this may be something that you're also contemplating, like, how do I engage in divine service at this time? What does being of divine service look like for me? What are some of the clairs that are really strong for me, and how can I lean more into that so that way I can help the collective further lift vibrationally and support healing at this time? So here's what it looks like in the reverse. So there's something about, because here in the upright, right, like we see that, you know, this is speaking to the lineage. It's speaking to the lineage of the flesh that goes deep into Gaia. And there's this wonderful connection with the ethers here. And this, to me, it looks almost like a portal, but there's something so energetically salient about this. Like, I hope you can see that okay. It's a flower, right? Like it's growing up. We see this yin-yang symbol and this beautiful flower that is unfolding with all of its petals, all of the different colors of the chakra system, and then opening up to the night sky. So we see these like, almost like these clouds departing, and there's this connection with the ethers here. So with this in the reverse, it may signal that your highest self, that is like in the ethers, is inviting you to take a look at your ancestral lineage and the lessons around wealth and money at this time, and is highlighting this connection for you. It may be a little bit difficult at times to explore this, especially if you have intergenerational trauma. And with this in the reverse, it may feel like you don't have like a sense of grounding, you know, like if this was in the upright, it would feel a little bit more grounded and a little bit more human. Like, okay, like I'm here, I'm looking deep within, ancestry.com. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. I don't know why that was coming through, but but it's like, there's like very 3D tools, right, that we can access to support our exploration of our lineage in this realm at this time. And then, from a grounded place, we can then look up to the sky and feel like, oh, okay, yes, like I have 2 feet on the ground. I'm looking up at the sky. I'm remembering, and I'm also still here. But when it's in the reverse, it may feel like there's not as much ground. And so this may also relate to just like the astrological weather at this time. Like, we're still experiencing some of the energy from the new moon. I think the new moon is technically in Leo at this time. As you may know, like the moon shifts signs pretty quickly. I think it might be like maybe every 2 days or so. Yeah, maybe every 2 days or so. I'll have to look into that. But when I was looking at the new moon yesterday, or at least where the moon was positioned in the sky, I think it was in Leo. So regardless, because the new moon peaked in Cancer, we're still feeling the energies of that. A lot of astrologers talk about like 3 days before, 3 days after an astrological event where we'll continue to feel the impacts. But with Mercury retrograde also in Cancer, it feels like it's even more potent. Like I don't know. I feel like the energy is still lingering. You know what I mean? So with this, with not feeling as much ground, that could be related to the astrological weather at this time. So I'm being drawn to the crystal deck. Let's go ahead and take a look here at what energies you may be able to tap into as you engage in this work at this time. Oh, I feel like that just came out and slapped the table. Okay. Wow, I don't think I've seen this card yet. So this is number 45, Goddess Gaia and Ocean Jasper. And the message here is goodwill. And the number at the bottom, I don't know if y'all can see that okay. It says Crystal Goddesses 888. So 888 might be significant for you. I do want to say that before I started this reading, I was seeing a lot of 114, 41114, as well as 411. So those numbers might be salient to you. And then here and there, like over the week, I saw 555 at different spots. So that might also be significant to you. We see here number 23, which reduces to 5. But it says Ascended Master Jesus and Meaningful Sacrifice, Crystal Masters 333. Whoo, you got Jesus coming up in here too. Wow. Okay, let's look at the third crystal message here. This is number 19, and it's an Ascended Master. The message is Karmic Grace, and it's also a 333 card. So you've got 2 333 cards. Also, in my readings, I like to emphasize the number 3. I post long-form content 3 times a week. It's posted at 3:33 Mountain Time. And I like to shuffle in 3s, as you may have noticed. So there's something really strong about this 333 code here for you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the book and what messages are here for you. We'll start with goodwill. So goodwill is number 45, which reduces down to 9. Number 45 is on page 199. Woo! The codes. So 999 might be significant for you. I landed on 93. Okay. We bring you the empowerment of goodwill. There is a type of spiritual power you can co-create which benefits and protects you whilst mutually empowering others to take their journey and experience divine success. This spiritual power, known as goodwill, is generated by how you feel inside and the attitude you cultivate towards others. When you know you have value, it is easy to recognize the value in another. When you feel encouraged by the universe, it is easy to encourage others. As you put out support, encouragement, and goodwill for the success of all beings, this energy is amplified and returned to you. So as I was reading this, I had a moment where I had this memory come up for me, or the sensation really. Sensation came up for me around like, oh yeah, like yesterday and the day before, I was really tapping into gratitude. And tapping into gratitude, I noticed, because when I got some not so favorable news by the end of the day, that gratitude helped to buffer against how much that would have typically impacted me. So when I tapped into that sensation within myself, I started to hear a ringing in my ear. So that may be significant for you. This may be a call to lean more into your gratitude practice and stay in conversation with God, stay in conversation with the universe, with Source, because it sounds like that will continue to help you along your path. And also to buffer against the negative impacts of, some of the very earthly things that may occur. So we'll go ahead and look at number 23, meaningful sacrifice. So 23 reduces down to 5. I think I already mentioned 555 was something that was coming up for me. So card number 23 is on page 113. The 3 is coming through again. Landed on 56. We bring you the blessing of meaningful sacrifice. To manifest your divine destiny, there are times when want must give way to a greater need. It may feel as though you are being denied the very thing that you yearn for the most. However, when meaningful sacrifice is being asked of you, there is a far more generous and loving reality at play. What is being denied now will ultimately create the opportunity for far greater gain. This doesn't necessarily resolve the pain of unfulfilled desire in the moment, but it does soothe your soul with the understanding that if you feel denied, it is only so that your fulfillment can come about in a more extraordinary and generous expression in due course. Wow. So this is asking you to trust, dude. This is asking you to trust. I find that for a lot of 12th house people, trust looks kind of different. There can be like this divine trust that you can tap into that is like this steady stream of knowing, right? But then when it comes to like trusting in general, like when we, because, the 12th house is very familiar with the shadows of society. And, a lot of people in the 12th house may experience, and this isn't true for everyone, I want to say, but a lot of people in the 12th house may experience trauma. Trust can be really difficult. And even if you yourself don't have prominent 12th house placements, the fact that we found each other, may signal that you're tapped into that frequency to some degree. So trust can be really difficult to tap into at times, but this is asking you to trust. And maybe with that other card that we were talking about, like the messages that were coming through there of continuing to be in divine conversation, it sounds like maybe that can help you to like strengthen your trust at this time, trust your path, and allow to like what is meant to fall away. Not strongly I was going to say not strongly detach. When I was about to say not strongly attach. So there's something about attachment and detachment here. And something that was coming up for me that was an insight that was coming up for me this morning and late last night as I was going to bed was something around kind of like how I was mentioning earlier too, like messaging around worth, or how like really being honest with yourself. Some of these things that you're yearning for, that you're wanting, is that from a divine place? Or is that more from like a place of like outsourcing your worth? Because the example that was coming up for me this morning, I was like, oh, like I'm really grateful that I'm no longer like, clenching on to this thing. Something that like I was just beating myself up over. I was like, man, like I really wanted to do better in this because I really wanted this to happen and I want to feel more connected with other people. So it was like there was a lot of warmth wrapped around it, and with this idea of like, well, I want to feel connected. I want to be known as who I am and not based off of this. And it felt authentic and true to me for a long time, right? Especially with so much tenderness there. But then I realized, it hit me, oh, I'm not tripping as much over that anymore. Why is that? And it just made me realize like, okay, I was outsourcing my worth there. Like they're going to base they're going to base their perception of how much value I bring based on X, Y, and Z. And therefore, I was going to use that to inform how I see my value in that setting. You see what I mean? And it wasn't so clear cut to me before, because what I mostly felt around it was like this tender warmth around it. And so I'm glad I gave myself some time there, and I hope you give yourself time too as you work to transmute these densities in your life. Yeah, so it just, with this, it feels like there's something about that lesson that I shared that I experienced that may be important for you as well, where it's like this idea of examining with honesty, curiosity, love, what is it that I'm yearning for? And what function is that serving me? And even if it is to like provide you comfort, to make you feel a sense of belonging, to help you feel loved, hey, that's all human. That's all human. And what is human is not alien to me. Another Maya Angelou reference, I think she was referencing an African proverb in that interview that I remember coming across like years ago. But yeah, so that might be important to you at this time. Just examining it with curiosity, noticing that if things aren't ready to change yet, that's okay. Extending that self-compassion. There's something really powerful about noticing and just being honest with ourselves and extending ourselves that grace. Ooh, what? I just looked down. Remember what this card said? Karmic grace. Let's go. This is number 19. Number 19 is the first card in the 333 suit. Hey. Okay, that's page 98. So I went to 112, landed on 88. We're getting closer. 98, here we go. The clear calcite seems to be standing out to me really strongly here. So if you've got some calcite, clear calcite, this one's specifying clear. I don't know if the clear calcite like specifically is important, but it may be. So that might be something that's helpful. I don't think I have one here, but maybe you do. And if you don't, here's the energy of it. Okay, so the message here says, we bring you the blessing of karmic grace. There are many ways to learn and grow. Some ways are joyful and some more challenging. Sometimes a challenge can best be resolved through profound struggle that forces you to transform in such a way that you can never go back to what has been. The struggle might have been deeply painful for the mind, body, and emotions. And yet, what is gained from that experience is a multiplicity of blessings, personal power, freedom, insight, self-respect, and wisdom. These qualities then help you live a better life where that past pain need not be repeated. Blessings can, at other times, be gained through joyful experience, Sometimes the struggle is what will bring you the greatest spiritual progress. Sometimes a more joyful path will be how you grow best. The universe loves you. I'll say that again. The universe loves you with such passion that you shall never be denied what you most need and what shall help you fulfill your divine destiny. Isn't this just like another, oh, I'm getting chills. And my eyes are starting to water. Oh my gosh. Isn't this just like another confirmation of like, hey, it is okay to trust the universe. It is okay to release your grip. And a reminder that things happen for a reason. And that might be triggering to some to hear. And I'm saying that from a higher place, right? I know it can be hard to wrap our heads around that. From like a very 3D or like a human experience. And I think that resistance is important too, especially for what we can do from a human perspective. I hope that is making sense there. And I'm also looking over and seeing the number 10, 10, 10. So there's something about that also feels important, because 1 and 9, that reduces down to 10, which would then reduce to 1. But you know what I mean? There's something about the ones and zeros. Whoa. The ones and zeros. The matrix. Yo, oh my gosh, I'm getting so many chills. I'm looking over, I'm seeing one of the cards I have out. I'll actually share it with you because it's standing out so strongly to me right now. I do my own readings, and I set out cards that like I want to continue to remember. This one I've had set out for a while. It's called The Source of All. Oh my gosh, I am getting so many pulses of chills right now. This is incredible. Yeah, the ones and zeros. Remember. Yes, remember. The codes of the matrix. You know, there's reasons for the densities here. There's reasons for our work here. Trusting in the divine as you engage in this work, and recognizing that the pains that you're transmuting are for a reason. The joy you're experiencing is for a reason. To continue to trust in the lessons that are just like the codes really that you're extracting from these densities. Recognizing how those codes are recalibrating the matrix. Oh my gosh, it feels almost like a hacking. And I'm getting this image. Whoa. I'm getting this image of like, like those infinity mirrors, or that like, the imagery of the infinity mirror. It's almost like that, but it's like, people sitting at like these stations that are kind of like computers, but it feels like this, this technology, and I'm getting images of grays. Whoa, I'm getting this cold wave over me. Okay. I'm getting another wave of chills as I'm seeing these images of ETs looking down at our reading right now. Thank you. I'm just going to ground myself in this moment, expressing gratitude to all of the energies that are present in this reading. There's something really connected with extraterrestrial energy, this transmutation that you're doing. It seems really, really connected to that. So I'll go ahead and leave you there. That was a powerful one. Thank you so much for doing this work. You're transmuting these densities, not just for you, but for everyone in your lineage, physical, ethereal, ancestral, and it seems like extraterrestrial as well. You're also transmuting these densities for me and ultimately the collective. So thank you for doing this work, and I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.